Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. So today we'll continue our lecture on Introduction to Science and Technology Studies on the topic of science and religion. So this course of science and religion is very important in this um, subject, which is science and technology studies. Right, just giving you a bit of setting or background. Malaysia is a country with um, people who practice numbers of religions. The highest is Islam, followed by Buddhists and Christianity, as well as Hindus. We have not we have a very low numbers of people with no religion, and with that, it gives you the importance of why we need to know this science and religion discourse. In my opinion, this discourse is not really pervasive in our society. Maybe because we have people who practice um, religions pervasively, but I think at international level and probably in some subjects, it has become a prominent discussion. So especially if you're especially in the Western culture, this is a very prominent topic. Um, Giving a so yeah, that's the setting that I'm giving you. Why this is important for us to know. Plus, you guys are science student, you have been studying science almost for the rest of your life. So yeah, that's why you need to know this discourse. So the outline of the lecture, we're gonna learn about the definition of religion, the nature of religion, definition of science, difference between science and religion, limitation of science, concept of scientism, as well as models of relationships between science and religion. So let's start with the definition of religion. So the word religion has different than the word science, where the word science has numbers of origin words. But when I studied this and I learned that the ultimate origin is rather not clear. Even though the word religion derived from the Latin word religio, but it has many interpretations. For example, legio means read, so re, which means again, and legio, read, which ultimately it means read again or go over again. Another interpretation is ligare, which means bind or connect. So re means again plus ligare, and the ultimate definition is to reconnect. So you don't have a definite definition, but this basically was the origin of the word religion. So that's just in the language part. So we're going to have a look at as a whole part. So definition of religion, according to the Collins Dictionary, religion is belief in God or gods and the activities that connected with this belief, such as praying or worshipping in a building such as church or temple or any sacred place according to that religion. So the nature of religion, religion is a collection of cultural system, belief system, and worldview that relate humanity to spirituality and sometimes to moral value. Taking an example for Christianity or in Islam, um, the worldview is that the way you see the world is somehow shaped by your religion. For example, you believe that after death you have heaven or hell. So you will conduct yourself, you will conduct the way you conduct your life, so that by the end of your life you will either go to either hell or the heaven. Whereas in the Hinduism you have a reincarnation, and always in every incarnation you hope to have a higher level of reincarnation. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's called samsara, the highest level. Um, so, yeah, I think so. If not, I probably have a different term. So, in many religions have narratives, symbols, tradition, and sacred histories that are intended to give meaning to life or to explain the origin of life or the universe. So, the sacred history that is retold with the aim of instilling religious faith that which may or may not be founded on fact. Taking an example, if you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, you're probably familiar with the story of the Nabi Musa or the Prophet Moses, where when he was running away from the Pharaoh or the Pharaoh, so God asked him to, so God basically helped him to, it's not God help him, God separate the Red Sea so that he can cross the Red Sea without crossing the water. So apparently, you know the story, but it's not founded by fact. You don't. It's not founded by physical evidence. Um, so another nature of religion, like I said, the belief is not necessarily substantiated by physical or material evidence. You can refer to the story of the Moses that I've just mentioned, as well as the religious knowledge obtained through holy writings, authority, revelations, and religious experiences. Um, for Islam, holy writings refer to Quran, authority refer to the body of the religions. For example, in Malaysia, we have Jakim, or you have scholars in Islam, whereas in Bible you have holy writings. The holy writing is the Whereas in Christian the holy writing is Bible, and the authority is the church. So, what is science? A bit of revision on definition of science, because we are in the discourse of science and religion. So, science comes from the Latin word scio, meaning I know. Scio derives from the Latin infinitive scia, meaning to know, and scientia in Latin means knowledge. So, science is a human activity that creates and accumulates knowledge by directly confronting the natural world. It aims to know the truth by using systematic method. So this slide is very important for your exam. So now we're going to look at the difference between science and religion. So just now we talked about what science is. It is a human activity based on observations, whereas religion is a collection of cultural system, belief system, and worldview that relate humanity to spirituality. So scientific knowledge is progressive, like what we learn in the history of science and philosophy of science, the structure of scientific revolution by Thomas Kuhn, so knowledge and also falsification by Karl Popper. A bit of revision for you there. So scientific knowledge is rather progressive and tentative, whereas in religion, religious knowledge is obtained through holy writings, authority, revelations, and religious experiences. Um, in science, the observations are subject to refinement, so any findings are subject to refinement. But in religion, the belief is not necessarily substantiated by physical or material evidence. Now, we can see that science and religion attempt to ask many questions. For example, science will ask question and attempt to answer about when, where, how many, and why, by what means. How does a living thing function? What are the fundamental forces? So these are rather physical questions that you can that are based on natural phenomena. So you are finding the truth behind it. Whereas in religion, you're asking an attempt to answer question like, why am I here? Is that the right thing to do? How valuable am I? Does God exist? Does God act? And will God ever respond if I pray? So these questions are rather not really physical questions. They are metaphysical questions, something that is beyond physical. So um, when you look at these two things, it's rather different agency. And somehow, even though it's different, they also ask similar questions. For example, how and when did life originate, and how and when did universe originate? So if it's science, the way you look at these questions, you're gonna go through systematic method. You're gonna look at historical evidence. But in the religion, the way you answer this question is based on the secret histories, based on the um, um, what do you call that? Based on the holy writings, and as well as what authority has been teaching from throughout the generation. So it's different. It's same questions, but different means of answering these questions. So that's all for this um, part of the lecture. I'm going to see you in the next part of the lecture.